laggy.
Good, without any problems now. And voila, we are good. No lag, no problems. Okay, okay, okay. Everybody here who sees this, we are here with Buff Barbarian Babe and Lunavite. We are doing a podcast. This is an interview between two magnificent, amazing content creators of their communities, and I'm really happy to say that I have had a great joy in knowing them. And I want you guys to get to know them, their backstories, what they're doing, and learn more about these two. And also, you know, show some love, follow them, meet them in their socials, go to their streams, all that good stuff, because they are fantastic. Okay, we're going to start off with simple questions that I kind of fielded from the community. The first question is for either one of you. I know who's going first. It's going to be kind of fun. Is how did you guys get into your professions? I know Luna's an artist. I know Buff Barbarian Babe is a fitness guru and fiend over there. And I want to know what you guys necessarily just got into it. What sparked that?
So, for me, I started drawing when I was a kid. Like, when I was really sad as a kid, my brother would draw for me, and I just kind of wanted to be just like him growing up, so I got really into art. And then when I was 16, I posted art for the first time online on some website. I think it was on DeviantArt, actually.
Oh my god.
Like, way back. And I got a request to do a commission, and it's just kind of taken off since then. I've just kind of stuck to it.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Deep.
That's actually kind of cool, though. Like, I saw your art, and I was like, it's so cute.
Thank you.
On my end, so I stumbled into my profession. I originally was a clinical mental health counselor in training, so I worked with adolescents in a high school setting. And I loved working there, but there's a lot of bureaucratic red tape. And while I was doing that, in my internship, which is how you get your Irish official license, I basically was part-time personal training. And then I decided, screw it, I'm going to make this a full-time career. So here we are. I've been in the training industry for 6 years already. I've been a fitness professional, and I work with rehab and corrective. So, like, my client list is huge. And the cool thing is I'm referral by name only because I only have so many hours to spare. And as of late, I just kind of stumbled into the fitness world. And now, since I actually had to be listening to TikTok, and that actually kind of spurred me into a new type of training. I don't know if you guys have heard of FEMA or SCA. So.
Nope.
Yeah, so armored combat, so I developed actual fitness workouts based around armored. Well, that's how I profession.
So you're telling me you really have a Buff Barbarian Babe fitness regimen for people?
Yeah,
I've seen your TikToks, and I've seen you wielding a hammer. I thought it was for jokes, but this is a real fitness progression, and it's absolutely fantastic. I mean, if you really look at warfare, especially back in medieval times and that time, that really sparks that whole idea that it's a tried and true thing to get fit. And then Luna, with you saying DeviantArt, that really good thing is that I feel like a lot of artists, especially now, are growing from those times where they had just their art in themselves. And that is so nice to see that the world is taking such a custom to it. Like now there's Fiverr, there's Etsy, there's Twitch. There's so many ways to progress your art now in this time that it is amazing to see, because a lot of those times there were just doodles in your notebook.
Yeah, I mean, I used to draw all the time in class. I used to get in so much trouble for it when I was in school, just always drawing.
I mean, look, at least you're more like me. I fell asleep in class all the time, so that's...
That's like, yeah.
Okay, another thing that I know you both do that's really interesting is you both make your own cosplays and cosplay. And I've seen both your cosplays, and you guys have a excellent high degree to which I admire. So what kind of got you into that too?
So for me, again, like growing up, my brothers were kind of all I really had. So we went to I was really into video games and comics. So we went to our first convention together, all of us, because we had heard about it on the news. So we're like, yo, let's just try it out. And ever since then, I've just completely fallen in love with it. I've fallen in love with the idea of bringing characters to life. It's just kind of become my whole vibe, honestly. Like I love building armor and weapons. That's my whole thing. So when I get to do that, I'm pretty happy.
Okay, your early thing into cosplay too.
Yeah, so I guess you can say my first ever cosplay was when I was like in 4th grade, and it was a last minute Halloween costume. I was obsessed with Sailor Moon, and this was the time before like anime and like being nerdy was cool. So I asked my mom to help me make a Sailor Jupiter outfit, and she did, and we made it in like 24 hours, the little skirt and everything, and the little like leotard top. We used a white leotard top, and I don't even think I have any actual photos from that night, but I was in 4th grade for Halloween. I was Sailor Jupiter, and I kind of took a little bit of a hiatus since then, because obviously the kind of cosplays I like to do are expensive. So I had to wait till I had adult money, and my return to cosplay actually I think would have been this past year. Actually, no, about 2 years ago would have been my return to cosplay. I started to adventure more into like leather work and actually using thermoplastics and actually working with armor for the first time. And here we are. I mean, I haven't really done like actual cosplay in years, so I guess you could say about 2 years ago was the grand return. Now that I have money to spend, so that's how I got in.
People don't realize how expensive it is to cosplay. Like, it's a lot of money and a lot of time.
Oh yeah, like one wig. I'm working on a wig right now, and Butters knows I've been working on it for weeks. I took a hiatus because I need the right kind of shears. So, I mean, a wig alone, I was like, oh, it'll be 4 hours. No, like 16 hours in this wig. A wig just fluffing and sculpting and crimping, and then I looked at it and I was like, it needs more floof. So I had to buy the brush, the wool comb brush. And I was like, son of a bitch, how do I not have things I need? So
yeah.
It's like the amount of time that goes in and the amount of money that goes in, like it's double, triple, and quadruple digits. Like it's not even a joke.
Yeah, it's expensive.
Now, what was both of your last cosplays you completed?
Oh God.
Oh, God. Okay. What is yours, Lena?
So I lost a lot of motivation with COVID hitting. I finished a cosplay entirely. I finished my Blood Moon Sivir from League of Legends. Like, I have the weapon done, costume done, wig ready, everything to go, and then COVID hit and canceled the con. And
RipCon's 2020.
I haven't been able to book a photo shoot for it, but like that's the last one I finished. But that's one that I'm excited to debut.
Oh.
I kind of how it feels. But COVID really took a hit. I was going to, obviously, I live in Texas, so we were like the hub. It's like Dallas, San Antonio, Austin, Houston. You go to all the big places, there's nothing now. So the most recent one that I worked on for the wig and everything was Noi from Dorohedoro, because she is huge and beefy, and I fit the aesthetic, even though I'm super freaking small. And I wanted to do her while my body was still in more of a powerlifting shape before I dropped the weight. Because for me, I feel like when I do cosplay, I usually use my body more, so I start training a couple months ahead of time to train certain muscles, so I look a certain way. So, like, for example, Noi's known for her big old arms and her muscles and her shoulders, so I was like, I need a thicker waist and I need bigger shoulders, and that's what I've been working on. And so I guess you could say that's my completed where I'm at right now, but that's only till May.
Yeah.
She is a buff waifu. Like, she is definitely an amazing character, and I think that's perfect for your aesthetic too. Leather, combat boots, but still just completely adorable. Perfect.
She is Astral. Where's Astral?
And then Blood Moon Sivir, one of her best skins, period. I don't care what no one says. People says pizza skin? No. Blood Moon Sivir, hands down. Especially when you have the mask. Now, with... Oh, go ahead. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, one thing that I want to do with like COVID hitting in my cosplay is I want to buff up, excuse the pun, the cosplay a little bit. So I want to install LED lights throughout the cosplay, because that, I feel like that would really,
especially behind the mask too, for the glowing eyes and stuff. That would be
the spinning wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that would be dope.
See, now, y'all know I want to cosplay. I do want to cosplay. That's going to be a whole trial and tribulation for me, because I want to do an armor cosplay.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun. I'm going to stream it. Y'all going to laugh at me.
Dude, we respect the work that goes in, because the amount of times you've cut yourself or glued yourself or gotten a box proxy on you. You're like, shit. So we respect it.
I still have scars from like trying to build cosplays and like hurting myself from like just like trying to cut EVA foam or like trying to glue something together. The contact cement's the worst.
Okay.
Dude, oh my god, I have been there. I actually tore off like I have like a little scar on the inside of my thigh from letting glue just drip, and I had to wait till it cooled. So I can't get.
Oh yeah, that's the worst.
Oh my
gosh.
Oh
I actually like this is just a thing. Like the finger cuts. I'm like, how many scars do I have from like using the roller and
Oh,
trying
yeah.
to cut fabric?
The heat gun, just it's a mess.
Yeah, I ordered a heat gun, so I'm like, I have the heat knife. I ordered one, and then I have the heat gun. I actually set my fire alarm off in my mobile townhome with the heat gun when I first opened it. That was a fiasco. I was like, how? It's smoked, and we freaked out. So I was sent outside to do warbler work.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, now what was the hardest what was the hardest cosplay you did and the hardest part of it?
Oh.
She looked back there like, damn you.
I have a cosplay gun. I'm literally looking at it, so I'm like, okay, which one?
Oh my gosh.
I think Flareon, Goddess Flareon was the hardest one for me to do because there's LED lights all throughout that cosplay, all in the weapon, in the staff, in the fire, in my hand, in the dress. There's LED lights through everything. And I remember morning of the con, we rented like a little tiny Airbnb. It was like 4 of us. And we all woke up at like 5 a.m. and we're mad rushing through this Airbnb, just trying to finish and glue LED lights into the underskirts, and it was a disaster. I remember the staff alone, I did 2 or 3 times because I couldn't, it wasn't working. Like, I was having to retry things.
Oh man, that's I can just feel it. Like I can sense the anxiety. I can feel the anxiety. You're like, oh no. Oh no. Oh no.
It's terrifying.
Now, I did hear that moving cosplays, after completed to a con in a vehicle, is literally the worst experience of your life. If you're traveling in flights for it too, I've heard is literally just destruction, death.
Oh yeah, when we go to cosplays, like it's usually, I don't know if Buff Barbarian Babe does this, but I know like when I go to cosplays, I usually go with like a group of people, or it's like a few of us. Just like it's also just for fun because you want to do it with your friends, but also for safety. And you always gotta put the back seats down because you got all your weapons and your props in there, and you got pieces of armor that you gotta put on at the con, and it's a huge mess.
Oh god. So luckily, since I live in Texas, we just drive everywhere. So I have like a small vehicle, and it's usually just me and my other half because usually I meet friends over there as opposed to we do like a train because we have so much stuff. And I get car sick, but also I get car sick, but people hate my driving. So my fiance's in the back and he's in the back, or he's like, so he's in charge of like the video and the photos and stuff, and I'm like, okay, don't let this break. He also is in the engineering field, so I'm like, okay, if something breaks, I need you. But I think I've never really had a hardest cosplay. They're all about like the same. I think if you were to talk about in terms of like actual like hard work, the amount of hours that went in is probably going to be the Lilith cosplay because I sculpted it from the ground up, and I didn't realize how, because I never done wigs before. I always just had dyed hair. I never really realized how much like synthetic hair is, and I had hair needles in my like clothing and in my washer and my towels for like weeks, and there's still hair needles on the floor. Like I vacuumed so many times, but it was just the fact of me doing like I literally sat down. I was like, okay, I'm gonna sculpt everything from scratch. I'm gonna do the jacket, and the thing is, it's like little metal pieces that go on fabric to make it look like metal. And like if it was Warbler on Warbler or EVA foam on EVA foam, that's one thing. But it was trying to stick that with epoxy on fabric. And what I did is I made all the parts removable with the edge, the brackets. So that way, if I needed to wash it or update things, everything's removable. So designing a jacket and an entire outfit that has removable parts was a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah, that was probably the hardest in terms of like technical. The hardest in terms of like hard work was the actual barbarian costume because I actually had to work with leather, and I did everything with a nail and hammer by hand, and I hammered in brackets by hand, so it was sculpted all by hand, like as if I was doing like medieval armor work, and I was like, this sucks. So that's the most labor intensive versus the most detail and just like time intensive.
I remember when I did my Poison Ivy, my Christmas Poison Ivy, it was like this pleather bodysuit, and I had to individually glue on like ivy leaves, like on the whole thing, and that was really.
Are you talking about real ivy leaves?
God, no.
Oh, I was about to be. Yeah, because it's
from Amazon and just glued. And I remember, like, I put on the bodysuit, and then I was like, okay, it's on, and we went to zip it up, and everything popped off. And I was like, no, that's 12 hours of work.
OMG.
See,
I used Gorilla Glue after that. I never went back to hot glue.
now, I've seen that cosplay from both of y'all. I've seen your Leatherwood Barbarian Babe. Just to know that you're a whole Dungeons & Dragons character right there, period. And your Poison Ivy was amazing. You couldn't even tell anything went wrong with that. Like, that was a fantastic cosplay from both of y'all. And just know that if I ever saw Barbarian Babe in her cosplay Barbarian, I'm running for my life. I'm gonna be sacrificed to some elder gods or something.
Oh no! It's weird. Like for safety, it's weird. So we don't, how you mentioned safety earlier, how you go in groups. The interesting thing is, people are afraid of me, even when I did like girly cosplay. Because I walk around, I guess, with this atmosphere. I've always been told I'm scary and I'm intimidating because I have chronic resting bitch face. And when I walk, I'm very aggressive, so I've never really had issues. Like, even if I have been heckled, the moment I look over, my fiance is the one who pulls me the other way because I will start a fight. I've actually started an altercation. The guy's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I'm like, what? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Yeah. And I'm like, I can knock you out. Like,
oh, yeah. I know, like, my friends are really small. Like, my friends they have a lot of anxiety, and they're very petite women, so they get scared, when a guy that's 6 foot over approaches them, they're like, oh shit. So I know, like, growing up with all guys, especially my brothers, like, I don't mess around. I will fuck you. I will, like, fuck with you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, I have resting bitch face, so I completely get what you're saying. Like, the second somebody tries to heckle you, you're just like, are you serious right now? Like, don't do this. I get that I'm in cosplay and stuff, and like, oh, I'm your waifu or whatever, but a person, I will fight you.
I know, consent is a thing. Don't touch me unless asked.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
Ask me for pictures. Like, I do feel like there's, like, women have a little bit harder. And from perspective, I'm 5'3". Yeah, so I'm 5'3" by height. But by, like, size, I'm, like, tankier, I guess, the way I'm built. So it's, like, I've never really had an issue to a hard degree. And, like, I have a friend, like, how you say they're very petite, they're very, like, very shy and introverted. I guess I act as, like, group mom. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah, so you're cosplay mom.
I am cosplay mom. I'm cosplay mom, so I run around and I'm, like, helping people and monitoring everybody. They're okay, are we good? We need water, we need lunch, it's lunchtime. What are we doing? Does everyone have their stuff?
Who got the granola bars?
I know, like, where's everybody? So I also am older, so I've always been cosplay mama. And we really haven't had any incidents, thank God. And I mean, I'm wondering how that's going to fare when we come back. I mean, next year is probably going to be wild.
Oh, yeah. When cosplays come back, it's going to go crazy.
I know, because all we're limited to right now is, like, pictures. Like, oh, photos, TikTok, woo.
Yeah, that's all we have right now. But when cons come back, like, I could see it being busier than ever. Like, especially people they're desperate to get out of quarantine. They're desperate to go out. And so many people have gotten more into video games and stuff, so it's definitely going to be a lot busier.
Now,
I am scared.
Now, this is a question for both of y'all. This is something I've always asked pretty much anyone. What is the dream con you could go to? Like, I'm talking about full expense paid, hotel, and then, but then what cosplay, if you had a full budget, what cosplay would you go with?
I know. Hang on, I got it. If I have the time and the effort
and the money,
like different cosplays for each day, or just one cosplay?
I say one because we're gonna go to a whole hour tangent about this.
Okay, one big one.
Hang on.
I'm pulling mine up.
Everyone, this is the segment where they hunt for the perfect picture of the cosplay they're going to go with.
This is the one. This is the overarching overarching cosplay that I wish I could pull off. Here we go. We're gonna go pull up. I think it'll be better on ArtStation if I can show you. So here we go. We have. I want you to do Zarya, and I'm like the barbarian Zarya.
Oh my gosh! With the full LED version of her gun, moving effects, I can see it. Yes, I can see it.
So mine's an armored one as well. It's actually my next cosplay that I'm building. I've been working on it. It's been in works or planning phase for the past 6 months. Because it's gonna have LED lights throughout the weapon. I don't know if you can see that.
I see it. That is so nice.
But it's Gladiator Sailor Mars.
Oh.
I have to build all the armor, and I want to do a giant, well, I'm talking like a 6-foot bow, all of fire, like see-through fire warbler, like I'm LED lights installed throughout it, quiver on my back, like I'm ready to go.
I would love to see that.
That's gonna be wild.
See, for me, it'll be something simple. I want to get a fully custom Halo ODST shock trooper. That's it. I'm talking about custom painted armor, everything.
Yeah.
Because I am a nerd for Halo. I love armor builds, I think, the most because even when I'm playing an RPG games, any kind of game, I like that armor look, that metal vibe. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a mecha at heart.
Okay, let's be honest. When people are at cons and they have armor, you're like, let me talk to you. Hi.
Oh my gosh, yes. Like legit, you can see a crowd start flocking. Like you see someone like in a Warhammer 40K outfit, they just start flocking to that person.
Oh,
just...
I'm so excited.
Their life's work. I have seen there was one at San Japan in San Antonio that he was over 8 feet tall in his outfit.
Whoa.
And it was, I don't even know what it was, but it was remarkably done. It had LED work and even had a little fog machine, and I was like, I have video of this, so I did a vlog on it back. This was like 2018, San Japan 2018, or no, it was PAX. Sorry, PAX 2018.
Oh, PAX.
I was like, I was somewhere.
Yeah.
It was PAX 2018, or was it 2019? No, it was 2019 when I saw this one, and I was like, what the hell? And then PAX 2018 would have been there's some really, I took video of these amazing custom. Like, I want to do that. I better have any money.
It's so much money. So it's ridiculous. Like, don't ever ask a cosplayer how much money they spend on their cosplay because they'll just cry.
I know. I'm like, I don't keep track anymore. I just look at my bank account. As long as I have money, I can buy things.
Just don't ask me how much I spent on it.
Okay, another thing that we're gonna move it to is your experiences creating content. I would say in the last year, especially since COVID was a big shift to a lot of people's lifestyle and living. How has that helped or hindered your content creation?
So COVID actually helped me a little bit. I know when the pandemic first hit here in Canada, we shut down hard. Like I lost my job. Like 15% of the Canadian population lost their job to COVID. So like it was at a sky high. Like I worked in the restaurant industry. I was a waitress and a bartender. So obviously that's not essential. At that point, only essentials were open. So just grocery stores, pharmacies, and gas stations were allowed open. And we're still like, even now, like I think like the unemployment rate is still 10% or something. So I fully committed myself to streaming and to drawing, and I was like, yo, like I need to still make money. I got animals to feed. So I was like, I got myself to feed, like I need to make money. So I just went really hard into my art, and it actually helped because I spent so much time drawing and practicing. My skill has exponentially increased. It's just the products that I can produce are 10 times better than what I could a year or two ago. No, that's what's kind of been for me.
Ooh.
So, for me, it was a little bit different since I work in the fitness industry. I mean, we're definitely not essential. The way it went is March 17th, I was pulled into a meeting that was we had different shifts of trainers, and they called the rest of them who were the morning shift who already left at like 2 o'clock. And they pulled someone and said, hey, I need you to call our clients. You need to tell this is COVID things being serious. We're going to do our part to flatten the curve, as we used to call it. And they said, we're shutting down tomorrow. We don't know how to shut down for. So I had one more client that night at 7 to 8, and then that was it. Like, literally, that was all she wrote. And so I was out of work for 2 months. And then when they started bringing us back, I went into work a week early. It was me and like two of the other managers, since I guess I was called a lead trainer at the time, and it was like more of a leadership role. Went in, we set up the gym, spaced everything out, and just got ready. But coming back, it was almost dramatic because during COVID is what got me into streaming to begin with. It was actually, we got a computer in December, and I really didn't consider it like a big deal. And I got to at the time, he was my boyfriend at the time, he was like, why don't you start streaming? And I was like, why? He goes, give me something to do. I know you're feeling anxious. So I started doing that. And it just kind of took off from there. I never really considered myself anything outside of just a trainer. I mean, I do occasionally. I do a little bit of other things. And it gave me the time to invest in myself and to kind of return to myself as an athlete, as well as start working on, I didn't obviously get a TikTok till later, but start working on videos and stuff because, I want to do something with this. And I mean, I didn't get a TikTok till October, November, actually. And because of COVID, they kind of built that as a platform, I guess. And I took what I had done back then and started just kind of posting it, and it just kind of took off, I guess. So for me, it was more of, I took something that was more of a hobby and kind of ran with it, and it became like this little side hustle, this side gig. So for me, it feels like I was able to spend more time on like learning techniques for cosplay, photography, my graphic design skills, marketing, all of that kind of stuff, like the business side of things, and be able to put it into something that became useful, which now, as we know, I run my own business now. So using, as weird as it sounds, becoming a content creator actually allowed me to really see that in myself and say, okay, maybe I can go independent. I don't need a gym. I can rent. I can do all these things on my own. And I feel confident because I learned that during COVID. Like, I'm not a lost cause. Yeah. So mine was a little bit different and more that it was really more towards my career. So, yeah, that's how COVID affected me.
I'm about to cry a little bit. Because I gotta say, I met Luna through Jazz. Jazz was looking for artists for what we were doing back then, and Luna popped in Discord from there, became friends. I met Buff Barbarian Babe through Borderlands 3, looking for people to watch, and she was there. And I guess you guys have built a beautiful community, and I've been happy to see that. I guess COVID time has helped some people more than others, and that's also a good thing, is to see the positive in things and grow from there. So I'm happy you guys were able to do that. And the next thing is, how do you guys use, this is kind of weird, how do you guys use, how do you guys mold your profession into your social media aspects now? Because a lot of people have different ways of doing this now. So I would like to hear you guys' ability to do it. I know Luna's an artist. I know you have literally just everything but Barry at this point.
I have a jack of many of all trades and master of also many. I have my hands in different pockets. So, oh God. I mean, I kind of told you a little bit about how I got more into the career aspect. I mean, I started a business, and now we're starting to evolve now. I'm debating on, I have a little tiny Patreon started, but I'm debating on moving into the YouTube sector because people are like, can you post these videos on Mace where I'm really glad to see a female, not this big old beefy dude using a mace or doing combat style stuff because I mean, most of the time you see males, it's not a female dominated industry. So especially with my body type, because I'm a powerlifter, so I'm a little bit denser, so you don't really see that most of the time when you look at like fitness people. They're all skinny, and they're all lean and stuff, and you don't see thicker girls. You don't see girls with curves with shape, and you don't see a lot like, or you see these girls who are just like super like shredded, but you don't see the in between what goes into that right before. So for me, it was kind of, it's like I've transformed that part of myself that's been integrated. Like my name itself was like came from the PAX 2018 con when they asked you to come with your name. I came up with the name of Barbarian Babe as a complete incident, and it stuck. Yeah. And my identity has kind of evolved out of that. With fitness, the nerdy aspect, because I've been playing D&D for 3 years already? It's so crazy to say that. D&D for 3 years, the cosplay aspect, and the femininity of it. It's kind of all kind of tied together very intimately with my name, and I feel like that's kind of helped that aspect of it, if that makes sense, for my business at least.
Yeah, for sure. No, that makes sense. To me, at least.
Yeah, okay, cool.
And then Luna, what about you?
So I don't know, because it feels like lately my channel and my whole vibe have really taken on me, if that makes sense. Because prior to, maybe I'd say like 6 months ago, I wasn't really sure which direction I was going with. I mean, I changed just a couple months ago. I just had a whole rebrand where I really went hard into this like demon babe aesthetic. So that was, I don't know, that just kind of manifested with me. like I mean, I have the red and black hair. I wear like really punk kind of clothes. I mean, you can't tell because I'm wearing a white shirt, but it started to take shape with my personality, and as kind of quarantine dragged on, I was forced to spend more time with myself and forced to kind of grow as a person. So I just developed this kind of confidence within myself, and I was like, this is what I really like. This is the aesthetic I like. This is the vibes I want to give off. Like, I want to be friendly, but I still want to have that kind of demonic vibe thing going on.
Your aesthetic.
Yeah. So that's just kind of how I've integrated it. And then I just recently only really got into social media after talking with Butters about it a lot, because I wasn't on TikTok, and then he's like, get on TikTok, it's really going to help you. And I still have to make videos for it, but I'm getting to it. I started to post stuff on like Instagram and Twitter, and I think for me it's just trying to branch out is where I'm still, because I feel like such a baby creator compared to like Butter and Buff Barbarian Babe. Like, I feel like such a little baby creator still.
What are you talking about?
So I'm still like trying to find my vibe and my footing, but I think as my confidence grows, I'm really getting that.
Because Luna, when I've met you, you didn't even stream with a cam. Your community was pretty small, but now seeing it, you have regulars that come to your stream every time.
Yeah.
You have people that will just welcome you with open arms and greatly support you. You have grown so much in these last couple months, and I have seen this, and it is absolutely beautiful. You stream with a cam, you talk to people, and people come to you with their problems, their issues. They really lean on you as a leader of a community, and that is just the biggest growth any content creator can say they can get to.
I appreciate that. Thank you. It's been really hard because like I talk about it on stream quite a bit where I struggled really hard with mental health. So there was a point in my life before I started streaming where I wouldn't even come downstairs from my room. Like I didn't talk to my family. I didn't eat. Like if I was eating, it was late at night when I knew I wouldn't see anybody because I just had so much anxiety. So like I've definitely forced myself to come out of my shell with like streaming and art, because when you're an artist, people want to know who they're working with. Like they don't want a faceless person. They want to get to know you, because it's a trust thing. It's a transaction. It's a trust. So I had to do that if I wanted to thrive, and I think it's really helped me, honestly. I think it's been a huge help.
Makes sense.
Okay, we're gonna get into some of the fielded questions from the community, and then we might wrap this up because this was fantastic, guys. So one of the questions was favorite fiction, movie, TV show, or anime.
That's a hard question. Why would you do that?
You can have multiple choices. You can have multiple choices.
I saw those questions earlier, and I was like, son of a, really? I mean,
fiction?
you don't think it's kind of both of us. Look at us. I'm like, I don't have a personal favorite. I go through like phases.
So do I. I go through phases. Like I'll have like a period where I really, really love something and obsess with them. Like, okay, this is boring. Next, like.
Okay, then how about this? Your last favorite in phase, then.
Oh God.
Your last one.
Oh my God. I don't get so much like.
Can we include books? Do books count?
You can include books too.
Okay, books count. So, oh God, that doesn't even narrow it down.
Okay, I will go first. Y'all might judge me for this one. I have been really watching a lot of animations because I'm a fan of animation of all kinds. I watch things from anime to Western to Eastern to even obscure ones from France. It's weird. The last one I just finished watching that I really enjoyed, the aspect was called Kip, was the show She-Ra on Netflix.
Oh my God, She-Ra.
And then Kippo and the Age of Wonder Beasts. And I like the two aspects of their animation was so different. And I like the take that it starts as a kid show, but it progresses to really deeper things. Like She-Ra really depicted you know, how friendship can be lost, how friendship can be destroyed, mental illness, the ability of looking at yourself like as perfect and losing that, and the effects that it happens to you. And then Kippo really understands the idea that the world you may go out to, you think you don't know at all. And from there, I really enjoy animations like that. You know, anime, there's too many. I'm not even going to go in that one. That's like 15 different shows.
Sounds like a while.
I know you're gonna I know, right? So, God, I'm trying to think. Okay, so I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this already. I know I am. I'm just gonna...
You can feel it in your blood.
I don't know, after all, okay. We're not gonna go there, but there's been some talk in the TikTok community, some very inappropriate stuff that's been happening, so I'm just like, I'm gonna say it, and I know I'm gonna get ready for this anyway.
This is a safe zone.
I love My Hero Academia so far. Like, that's my most recent one. That was
really good.
Oh, those are both good.
Okay, there's drama right now. That's why I'm just like, I'm afraid to say it. And then Jujutsu Kaisen has been on the roster, and then I was super apprehensive of watching it. But JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is one of those weirdest. It's like the most shonen anime I've ever freaking watched.
Okay, that is the daddy of shonen. Like, it is a parody of America during that time, and it's the best.
It is so shonen. Like, you say shonen, that is like the top tier when I think of like all the tropes. And I started watching it, but it's like, it's so weird. I can't stop watching it.
Exactly.
That makes sense. I'm just like, I sit on my couch and I'm just like, what just happened? So I watch it between, also like when I'm downstairs, because like I have, if you look on my Instagram, you'll see I have a little gym downstairs in my garage. It's it is witchy themed, and it is like Halloween themed downstairs. It's all black brick and everything, and like when I'm down there between sets, I'm like, Crunchyroll. I'm sure my neighbors are like, what the hell is she watching? Whatever.
I use Butter's Crunchyroll, honestly.
We didn't hear that.
No, they let you share now.
You get multiple devices.
My sharing person lives here, so he's currently out in the Bulgaria.
No, they let you share now, especially with quarantine. Like a lot of animes, like
a lot of anime sites, Netflix, you can share devices.
Yeah, they're okay with it now.
Oh yeah. So now you get to throw the question, man, because I was like, as I'm figuring my Deku and my Sailor Moon and my Bakugo figurines.
Oh yeah. Last like anime I really got into, I finished Demon Slayer in like 2 days. I got really into Demon Slayer. I watched the hell out of it, and I got really into it. I don't know. It was just the storyline was really good. Anything with demons, like that's my thing. That's my vibe.
Your hair is reminiscent of Nezuko. Wait a minute.
Oh my god.
And like in terms of before that, I got really, really into a book series called, it's like the Red Queen series. It's about like a war, and it's about a war between two kinds of people with different blood types and powers. And it was just really cool, and it was like adversity and facing challenges, and there's obviously romance because I like romance.
You said Red Queen? You said what was the name of it?
It's the Red Queen series.
Why do I feel like that was on like the list of like top? Like,
yeah, I was gonna read that book.
Yeah. Okay. It was because there was like a list that came out around during quarantine. Am I right? Is that okay? So
I was looking at that book. Oh my gosh.
I started this series like 3 years ago, and I'm still reading one of the books because I've like put it off for the past year and a half. I got to the part I didn't like, and then I was like, no, I don't want to face it.
Okay, so see, so now you know. You have the book, and I'm like, I stick with the anime and like the TV fiction. I haven't really watched like much TV fiction. Like literally, my genre of preferred watching is like, I'm on the Criminal Minds trip right now.
Oh my god.
Season like 5 or 6 Criminal Minds. Seriously, Criminal Minds is like my shit right now. Like I eat dinner like for
Oh, dude, I love watching that. I love watching, like, anything to do with psychology and murder. That sounds weird, but I swear, like, true crime is my thing.
See, for me, it's medical series. I don't know. Me growing up with my mom's been a nurse for years, like, ever since I was pretty much a kid. I grew up in hospitals. Actually, all my mom's best friend, who was nurses at the time, they all birthed my siblings and me. So I grew up in hospitals. Hospitals are, I'm so comfortable in a hospital. Don't,
The opposite.
so weird. I don't get sick enough to go to hospitals though, so it's kind of weird. I guess they may be immune, but
You just go there to hang out.
yeah, like, it's so weird. But I don't like the medical industry. I would never be a doctor. I will probably throw up on the patient because of this. I'm a machine person, but I feel you feel. But I was saying like I feel comfortable in them, and I think that's also to the test of me growing up around my mom and the hospital and everything. So weird, so weird.
No, I'm the opposite. I can't stand hospitals. I hate hospitals. I will refuse to go as much as possible. I broke my foot and I tried to like deny that it was broken. Like, I remember like I broke my foot and I tried to deny that it was broken so I didn't have to go. And then my friend was like, okay, walk then.
And you're like, hey, don't even joke like that. My fiance, during one of his track meets, he did like, I don't know, I think it was like the 200 meter. He actually shattered his foot, and he finished the race with an actual shattered foot, but after that took him out. Like, his foot really fell apart, like the bone in his foot. So
See,
and then, yeah, you heard correctly.
The shock and adrenaline can cover up the pain you would feel.
He also had severe appendicitis, and he actually had it almost ruptured. He played tennis for like 6 hours.
Oh yeah, that would be me. I'd be like, no, I'm fine. It's just a cramp.
Oh my gosh.
I have like zero pain tolerance. Like, you would think because I live. No. I'm a wuss when I bruise like a banana. I am also. I seriously. I have zero pain tolerance. I will whine about it. I can't. So that's why I'm like, I'll watch things that are already dead. That's why I like Criminal Minds. But I also have my master's in clinical mental health counseling, and I was a trained and licensed mental mental health professional. So I love to watch and be like, how accurate did they get this? Did they get it right?
Yeah.
Is this right? Did they do this correctly? So that's my favorite thing to do. And people ask, is it right? I'm like, yes. Sometimes they've been a little ambiguous. It sound like they've done
You're like,
research.
not sure.
I always issue the diagnostics right then, and they're like, how would the law work if this was this place? And I'm like, well. So that's my weird hobby that I do on a nightly basis.
Oh my gosh.
See, growing up, my parents had really weird jobs, so I got used to like the weird shit. Like my mom was a private investigator growing up, and my dad was a bodyguard. So my dad.
That's a whole story we want to know about. How they met.
He did it for concerts, for singers. He did it for clubs. Like that was the scene my dad was in. My brothers grew up in the training gym. My brothers grew up in martial arts and boxing. So like, and because like we have that family where it's like tough and strong, and like we're in the gym and we're working out and stuff, and my dad's a bouncer. My dad never showed. I remember my dad when I was a kid. My dad got into a fight, and my dad was bleeding, and he's like, "It's fine, let's go home." I was like, "You don't look okay." And my dad was just stone cold, just straight faced.
Like, so when's the book coming out?
I know, right? Autobiography.
Okay, now to go back on that though. I agree with Barbarian Babe completely because I did cinematography for school. I didn't finish up because of COVID happened. I couldn't finish, but I was into it enough that I am so analytic of movies. I'm so bad because I can rewatch the same movie 18 times just to point out all the bad things. What's wrong with the soundtrack? Why is this camera like this? Why is the color wrong? This doesn't fit the vibe. So I completely understand that. And when you said you grew up around that kind of thing, Luna, it really, really shows a little bit in your personality of how you take care of people because you worry about them in such a unique way. Like, it's so weird.
I remember my brother was training one time, and like when you are into the gym and you're into MMA, it gets to a point during your training where your sensei will just look at you and go, okay, fight that person. Like, you two on the mat, spar right now. And you have to do it. Doesn't matter if you're ready or not. Like, he's looking at you and he's about to judge you, and that's going to determine whether you move up in the ranks. So I remember one time my brother was sparring, and my brother dislocated his shoulder. Middle of the spar, and he kept going, and we joke about it now because a few years after that, I dislocated my shoulder.
Wow.
And my brother got hit in the face, and he killed one of his teeth. I I killed one of my teeth, exact same tooth.
Oh.
So it's just this like weird circle that we got going on with each other, and we still laugh about it to this day. Like, we still make jokes, but it's like one of the things I remember from my childhood, just like watching my brother spar.
Okay, another question. Funniest event or date experience you have ever had?
So I got this one covered. I'm gonna knock y'all both out of the park. So for my fiance, I actually took my best friend who lives in Kentucky now. She's from my city, and she's from Texas, and she moved away. Her parents are from Kentucky, right? I was back in Lexington, and this was literally the 2 days before I met my fiance, about 7 years ago. I met one of the guys. Can't say his name. I'm not gonna say his name, but we're basically gonna say that he's one of my fiance's fraternity brothers. And I was mingling, and we're taking it off, whatever. This guy goes in to kiss me. He knocks out my 2 front teeth. At about 2 a.m. Yeah.
No.
He headbutted your 2 front teeth out. Oh.
Yeah, so my 2 front teeth are actually crowns now. They were already kind of damaged to begin with from high school, but he knocked the bottoms out. And this was like my fiance knows the whole story about this. So I was without my teeth for about 12 hours. We put them in a thing of milk in my best friend's, I just saw the picture, in the fridge, and there was a little note card there that said, it says my name, and it said, 2 front teeth. Don't ask, long story. Her dad just opens the fridge next morning because we didn't get home till like 5, and we were all like, we turned and said, "Mi crudas," and we like kind of hung over. I don't get hangovers, but I was like, bleh. And I was without my teeth, and he just opens the fridge and he just closes it. He's a retired Army colonel, Air Force colonel. So he was just like, and he's a radiologist, so he was like, Lord have mercy. So I got my teeth put back in, and I met my fiance the night I got my teeth put back in. But yeah, I got my teeth knocked out.
Story though.
I got my fiance that it was like the universe was saying, right place, wrong guy. So I met my fiance that next night, but I had my teeth knocked out, both of them. The bottoms. I actually have a photo of that. I have to find it, but
Hey, look, he loved you with a messed up smile. Eternal love.
I got him put back in, so my fiance's been with me since the incident, and he actually got to go with me through the process of creating crowns. So, fun fact, my 2 front teeth, if I'm under black light, the rest of my teeth will glow, my 2 front teeth will not, because zinc doesn't glow under black light. So I have a black spot right here.
So raves are a no-go.
You could tell, like, my smile was like that, and I was like, I was out during Halloween, and I was like, oh. So I got a big gap here. It's so funny. So there's a running joke now that I got indoctrinated into the state of Kentucky. So that's my funny that story, my date story, if you will.
I think she has a beat. Luna, what's yours?
See, I don't have a lot of experience dating. I mean, like, my first relationship was 5.5 years long. I don't have very many weird dating stories. I have a couple of, like, just weird in general stories from not people who wanted to date me, but from people who were into me. Like, I had one guy who just came up to me and was like, "Can I take pictures of your feet?" And I was in combat boots, and I was like,
what?
no. I was in Walmart, and like I was in like combat boots, and I was trying to find shoes for work at that time, and I was like, this is not gonna go how you think it's gonna go. I'm sorry, but no.
I would have been like $30 right now.
I had someone on my stream ask me for armpit pics. He didn't specify mine, so we sent I pocketed $60, and I took pictures of my cat's armpits and sent those.
Dude, that's fucked up. Oh wait, okay, you just reminded me.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
So, this happened just recently. This was on my stream. So I was streaming one day. I was doing art, and I was on call with a couple of friends. Butters, you were there for this story.
Yes, I was. The story is hilarious.
So I was on stream, and somebody's like, "You're hot." I was like, "Oh, thanks. Okay." And he's like, "Do you have an OnlyFans?" I was like, "No, I don't." And he's like, and then he asked me, he was like, "Do you have a boyfriend?" And then he said, "Oh, would it be weird if someone jacked off to you on stream while you're on stream?"
Wait, what?
We were there.
And then I remember I like turned to my camera and I was like, PSA, don't ask streamers if you can jack off to them.
Me and Luna's friend were there. We literally said this. Don't tell the streamer you're going to do it. Just do it in the safety of your own home away from them.
I know, okay. The most recent weird comment that I had was that I got called buff. They were like, buff, more like fucking obese. Were you there for that one?
Yes, I was. I was there for that one too.
And I was like,
why am I always there for these?
And I'm like, cool. I know, I was like, no, and I've actually had some people try to say insult me or whatever. And I'm like, no, keep talking. And I actually, one of them said something really inappropriate, and I schooled him, and I said, no, and Beyonce, who's my mod, he was like, do you want me to block him? And I'm like, no. I said, wait, no. So I gave him a very proper etiquette lesson on what was appropriate. He was like, wow, I'm kind of sorry, man. I'm sorry. And I was like, okay. So I'm like, no, I want to, but let this be an educational moment.
Oh yeah, you schooled them.
I'm like, I don't get approached in person. People do this because they're on the internet. So I'm like, harassment does happen, but I've never had that when people have asked me other things. They're like, can you show, I swear to like 13 years old, they're like, can you show us your boob? And I'm like, they're like, hey, do you like Naruto? And I was like, yeah. Can you show us your boobs right after? I was like, what?
They just discovered the internet and what a boner is.
I know! So like...
So I remember when that happened, I screenshotted the chat and I sent it to my really good friend. I still have the screenshot. I'll send it to you.
Oh my god, I know. I'm like, we need to have a Twitter or like a thread of like female streamers when we get harassed and our reactions to some of this shit. Like,
don't ask us this shit. Like, would you go to a guy streamer and be like, hey, pull out your dick? Like, nobody does that. Hold on. We have another story.
Like, how this is like, at first I felt really disgusting when I first started streaming, and then I got used to it. I'm like, these people really don't have a lot of free time.
They never
They have
do.
a lot of free time. Like, they don't have really a lot of things going for them. But this is their approach, and I'm like, are you just socially inept? Do you need social counseling? I can find you a counselor if you need social support.
Legit though.
Like,
I know, like, on the terms of like, I can't believe someone's called you obese, by the way. Like, no, first of all. No.
I'm like, my BMI actually says I'm obese, but I'm like, but can an obese person, I'm like, but I'm like a size 8. What? And the smallest I've been is a size 4. My body ranges from like size 4 to 10, and I'm like, I packed on 14 pounds on purpose for this powerlifting competition and movie.
Like, my friend Alyssa is a bodybuilder. And she does bodybuilding modeling competitions, right? Her body type is completely different from yours. And I've seen you. Your body weight doesn't come from fat. It's muscle.
It's muscle.
You can throw us.
Okay. So someone was like, someone made a comment that this was even on TikTok. They're like, she's just trying to, abuse the fat community or whatever, attention seeking. And I'm like, bitch, first of all, I was overweight for very much of my youth, and I got bullied for it, so part 1. 2, my BMI actually is obese, so they're not wrong. 3, here's the receipts for what just happened. Yeah. So, it's like, I know, BMI is so antiquated, by the way, if you're listening right now, heads up, sidebar, we're going to introduce BMI. It was based on something that they developed on white men from the 1800s who were physically active, and the sample size was under 100, which we now know is completely inaccurate for statistics. Yeah. So you're listening now, BMI bullshit. Anyways, I have been called obese, and I'm like, bitch, where? I'm like, I feel like I'm a little extra fluff. I know I put on like 6 pounds of fat, whatever. It's 6 fucking pounds. Like, that's a gallon of water is 9. Plus, what do you want me to do?
You need fat to survive.
Yeah. Like, the idea that people will try and troll you for your body type just because you're on camp is so archaic, because everyone is so different. And the idea that we all need to look a certain way, or you want to troll someone for their body, is so 2005. Like, it's so bad.
It is. See, I'm on the opposite side. So where you've been called obese, I've been made fun of because I'm a smaller build, especially on my chest. My chest is smaller, and I have guys come into my stream like making fun of my chest size. I'm like, bro, First of all, who do you think you are? Why do you think you're important?
Second of all, your opinion don't matter. Third of all, I can buy new titties. You can't buy new attitude.
Exactly. It's like on stream, you see literally from like this is my collarbone up. You don't see anything. Like, I just don't get why people feel the need to comment so hard on body types. Like, I'm confident the way I look. Like, I feel good. That's all that's important. Fuck you. Like,
Exactly.
like, you're coming after me because you're insecure about yourself and your body, and you're trying to bring other people down. Misery loves company. That's the truth.
And pardon my French here, but like I said, I can buy new titties. You can't buy a new dick.
Exactly. You can't. There's no micro penis.
Some researchers are doing that now.
Yeah, because
it's a very sad thing.
But you can lose those nerves, and I'm like, see. So I'm like, so they love criticizing women's bodies, and I think we get it more because like there's never like for females like Luna's the total opposite of me. You're never gonna get like no one's ever gonna be happy. We're conditioned as females like even in stream is worse because they think, oh, you got big boobs, you have to be super skinny, you gotta be or you have to be stupid or beautiful. And what say she knows? You have to be fucking stupid. And you can't show that she's a talented artist. You can't show the first thing to know is no, not her art. It's the way you look. Oh, it's not my gameplay skills. It's not my creative skills. It's the way I look. It's never about our skills. When it's dudes, it's always like, oh man, you're good sniping. Like, oh man, that was a good kill. Whatever. They don't look at that first. They look at this.
I totally feel that.
Focusing on my body and focus how I'm playing the game. Like, I just made a sick ass play and you're focused on my chest. What the fuck are you doing? Like, pay attention to the game.
Like, I can tell you so many times. I tell y'all, hey, you're not here because I'm amazing at this game. You're definitely not here because I'm looking amazing. I'm just funny, and I'm just funny and weird. So that's why you're here for this. So when I really do understand that it's so bad now, because I think more so a lot of bigger streamers that have gotten big from that, of being that ditzy, big boobs, in your face streamer, especially in just chatting section, it's so bad.
Oh, yeah.
They get that popularity, notoriety, and people go around thinking that is the only way to content create as a female, and that's not good.
Oh my god. That is so bad. That is so true, though. You know, like we look at them and it's like, you make your coin, girl. You do what you gotta do.
Exactly. But that doesn't represent other females in this content creation or industry, period. There's like, Luna was talking about VTubing a while ago. I watch VTubers so much now because they are genuinely just funny.
Yeah,
you don't like one of the.
You rig yourself up on too, Luna. I know you could. You could rig one.
Oh yeah, I'm planning on it.
Because one of the ones I watch, she is literally a moth human. You can't make this up.
Oh my god, I've seen her. I've seen you retweet her stuff.
Yes, Juniper Actis. She's so funny because she plays with it. She has another VTuber, which is like a giant moth monster, and it's so cute because she's like, it's funny. And then she told someone, "Hey, if you sub to my OnlyFans, I'll sell like 2 pounds of my ass dust to you." I'm like,
oh my god.
I love this person so much.
I remember like, I had a thought and then I lost it. Shoot, never mind. It's gone.
What a move.
Gone to the wind. Oh, I remembered. On the note of like art and VTubing and commenting on bodies and stuff, I've gotten this question so much and I hate it. I've been asked so many, because I'll occasionally draw NSFW commissions. I have no problem drawing NSFW commissions. That's cool with me. I'm an adult, you know, I can handle that. Obviously I have lines, like I won't draw anything illegal, but I get asked all the time, like, somebody's like, oh, do you get turned on by what you draw? No, no, I don't. I don't get turned on by drawing 2 anime people having sex. I'm sorry, I don't. That doesn't do it for me.
I'm in confusion. I'm like...
They live it, like, do you get turned on while you're drawing, like, sex? I was like, no! No, I don't. I care more, like, sex to me is more about the person I'm with and not just 2 anime bodies just...
Yeah, and it makes me wonder, if you were male, would they say the same thing?
No, they wouldn't.
There you go.
And I've been asked, oh, will you draw yourself having sex with X? No, I won't.
Okay, first of all, that would just be awful.
It is. It's so awkward.
I feel like more so it'd be just super critical of how you look as an anime character at that point.
I'm like,
On my stream, I have myself as an anime character. Please don't ask me to draw myself in a nude situation.
okay, if somebody actually commissioned you though to do that, would that be one of those fine lines? You'd be like, okay, no.
I've been commissioned to draw myself, which is fine, but I will not draw myself in nudity or in sexual situations.
That's what I'm wondering. If somebody ever actually was like, here, I'm gonna give you like $100, I'm sure you'd be like, okay, this is one of those ethical lines we are not crossing.
Yeah, so like one of those. I can't draw myself nude for somebody. I can't do it. It's like it's too. Being an artist, it's too close to sharing a nude for me. It's too similar.
Yeah, I see. You say that, and I completely understand it because the simple fact is, it is a boundary. It's like some people won't take nude photos. They will not show themselves to anyone but their significant other. I think that also goes in line with that of drawing yourself because for you, that's a depiction of how you think you look and how you are.
Yeah.
So it's a line you just don't cross for you, which I completely respect because there's some things in this world you have to keep sacred. I'm just being very frank.
Yeah.
You have to.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, like we support people. If you want to go out there, you're having
do it.
Oh, go ahead. 110%.
You boo boo, like live your best life. Get that money, get that bread, like do you, but don't expect everybody else to do it too.
Exactly. When you don't force your own ideals on the other people, you are the epitome of a good content creator because everyone does things differently. And I think, especially in now's today social world, we're having that issue where people are being canceled for people's ideals. People are being attacked for what they think, especially when, like, some people deserve it. Some people need to be canceled for certain things.
Yeah.
Agreed. But then some people don't deserve it just because, especially when it's not hurting no one or it's not even unethically bad. It's just them being attacked by others.
Yeah, or even if it's like an accident, like something gets misconstrued. I feel like people now, speaking of counterculture, they're taking advantage of people who are more influential or more in the limelight, maybe they're content creators, and people are milking it and they're manipulating these situations, and it looks bad. And I kind of feel bad for these larger creators, like they have no out, like they can't justify it because people always believe the little people versus like the big content creator, and they always say point the fingers, you should know better, blah blah blah. And I'm like, well,
they're human who just got a lucky break or did really good at making money. Like, that's all it is.
That's really all it is. So, I mean, I know Luna supports them. Obviously, I'm like, we say, get your coin, get your bag, wherever it is.
Make that bread, girl. Or dude, or they be.
OnlyFans, YouTube, Pornhub, we don't care. It's like you're doing this because you want to. That's something you want to do.
I don't judge you. Just don't try to push. Like you saw one streamer do it. Now you're trying to push it off on me. Don't do that shit, man.
Exactly.
Don't do it.
I'm lucky that I haven't got pushed so much. Like I've had very many educational opportunities for people to come across. I've been streamed on one via Discord, and that's why the Discord is now super exclusive because that happened. But it's I haven't had much in terms of the harassment now because I feel like if you make a good community, it's really, really safe. But I feel bad because as you get bigger, you have more of a liability.
Yeah.
And not everyone can defend you, and not everyone can say, oh, control the situation. When you're small, it's easy. As you get big, it's harder. And I mean, my TikTok is freaking massive, and Butter knows that this was a complete, I don't know how it happened. It happened, but I had to shut down a lot of things like DMs, etc., because I was trying to get an influx. I knew this was going to happen. I was like, I'll give it a little bit because of the influx of inappropriate stuff, and I'm like, okay. They're like, you have an OnlyFans, and I joked about having an OnlyFans, but literally the reason I joked about it is because I don't want to show myself crushing watermelons with my thighs. I feel like that's literally that feels so inappropriate for me. It sounds weird, but it feels too intimate for me to even show my legs. I get up and I wear shorts, but people see me even in lifting attire, and I never wear shorts and a sports bra.
That's a valid way to feel too.
Yeah.
You feel comfortable in sportswear, but it's I don't want y'all to see this stuff. Come on.
Crush my head, mommy. It's no.
Okay. Butters knows. This is the one comment I get. They're like, if you crush me with your arms or your thighs, I would say thank you. I get the comments. If you look up on my TikTok, And look at the Rasputin challenge. It's a couple weeks back. I posted this in January. Or no, December. January. If you look at the comments, they are so creative and laughable because I'm like, why?
What did you think of this?
People are like, literally, they're like, can you crush my head? Can you do this? Can you stomp on me? Can you crush me with your biceps? Can you? And I'm like, no, I will not. First of all, I hate being hugged. Second of all, I don't know you.
You're like, I just want to watch anime, play games, and lift weights.
I know. So I get the crush my sit on my face, and I'm like,
oh my god, I've gotten that one. I remember once I took like a shot for my stream promotion. It was like from the thighs up, and I'm a little bit bigger around my hips and my thighs because that's where I carry my weight. I was a runner and I do martial arts, so all my weight. I'm tall. I'm 5'7". And I'm all legs, so all my weight's in my legs and my thighs. So I posted, and then I deleted it because I was like, the comments were just weird. I was getting DMs. I was like, bro, this is a weird territory for me.
I have learned. So pro tip from my little self here: if you have the audacity to go into my DM and send me inappropriate messages or inappropriate pictures, you have then given me right, since it was a gift, for me to post that. And
oh yeah, I would do that. 100%.
One of the people in my community,
I'll tag you.
One of the people in my community, she does a full not safe for work OnlyFans, right? She's really trying to grow herself on Twitch and kind of escape the idea of the OnlyFans and keep that separated, you know?
Yeah.
She's doing a really good job with it because she has a really good community. One thing she does do that I think does discern trolls is she does publicly post those bad comments. She blocks their names and everything out, but their comments are there on her Twitter and stuff. And I think that really does help discern people from, hey, do not send this stuff. She has a fiance. She's in a good relationship. And she does OnlyFans because she wants to.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's cool, yo. Like,
Exactly.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. That reminds me of a really funny story, actually. So, my mom, being a PI, she's really into all that investigative work and finding things out. And when I was younger, my brothers and I, we were all really into coding and hacking stuff. And our mom's investigative skills mixed with the skills that we had. I remember one time I got a DM from a dude, and it was his dick.
Awesome.
And I just went full like, I just like, you know what? I'm gonna get some revenge. So I found his username. I tracked him through his username. I found all of his information. I ended up finding his Facebook. His friends list was not private.
Rookie mistake, boy.
His friends list was not private. And you know who shared the same last name as him? A nice old lady. That was probably his mother. I sent it to her. And I wrote her a very nice message, and I was like, this is your son's penis. He is showing it on the internet. I just thought you should know he might want to get checked. It looks a little infected. And then I just let go, and then I just washed my hands of the situation.
She released the pigeon from the roof like, fly.
Some people have gotten smart. They've created new accounts to send me, dick pics. It's happened. So I'm like, you're stupid. Your fucking tattoo is in the mirror. And like, you know how Instagram brings up people that are like familiar, right?
Yeah.
So if you do enough searching, you can find. Their identity is completely secret. So I found out where I live out in my city. I mean, the fitness industry is kind of small, right? Especially when it comes to weightlifting, and everybody kind of knows each other. And I mean, tattoos like that.
They're pretty noticeable, pretty distinguishable.
Especially if it's a freaking stupid ass tribal tattoo.
Oh my gosh.
Is it a white guy?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I started watching out the gym, and I put out a little PSA to some of my gym bros, because when you're a female and you live, you not just a female, like you're a brunette, like you're a bro. So hey guys, I blurred out the dick, obviously, and I was like, hey guys, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to see if you keep an eye out for this guy. Sure enough, we were able to figure it out. Let's just say he was not welcome in most of the gyms in the area.
Oh yeah, no.
So I'm like, dude, I know, and I'm like, dude, they're like, oh my god, you did that. They're like, oh, he's digging this, it's fine. So, but I'm like, are you stupid? Do you really got, like, you got 2 brain cells. Clearly one of them ain't working.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the reality, though. When you're a female, like, even if, no matter what content creation you take, like, you get harassment in some form, and you kind of, it sucks to say this, but you just kind of learn to deal with it. and it shouldn't be that way, but that's the reality that we live in. And it's
true.
not. But if you do it right, you can milk it for all it's worth, and you can have popcorn on it.
Oh yeah, you benefit on that situation sometimes. You're like, ooh,
Okay.
I'm gonna get paid for this.
This is the last question. And it's the weirdest question of all, someone asked. Favorite drink of all time?
Water.
I'm gonna say anything with fucking caffeine in it. I am a.
Oh yeah.
Change my answer. So I don't drink coffee.
Okay.
I don't intake any caffeine really. Because when I was little, like my brother was like, if you drink coffee, you're not gonna grow.
Oh my god, I heard that too. That's not true.
It's not.
So I never drank it, and even now, like I'm 21, like I'm in school and I'm working on my own business. I run purely off adrenaline. I don't intake any coffee, and I sleep maybe 5 hours.
I'm like, oh honey, okay. I have the caffeine tolerance of a god. I have been able to consume up to 1 gram, that's 1,000 milligrams in a day.
Dude,
I
how are you not like bouncing? Just like shaking nonstop.
Well, I got a bag. I had caffeine with. Let me tell you, I get the migraine. I get the DTs, so DT detoxes, nausea, vomiting, migraine. But I consume about 250 milligrams a day, and I can still sleep. Like that's my intake to keep normal. Now, if I want to crank it out in the gym, that's 600. Let's go, baby. I put that bang. Don't do this. It's not for the faint heart. I'll put a bang, and then I'll add a little bit. I'll add micro. So I have like a little scale. It sounds so bad, but I have a scale specifically for dosing certain types of pre-workout, so I can make sure I don't OT on anything.
Yep.
So, like 600 milligrams of caffeine. Let's fucking go, baby. It's PR day.
Oh yeah.
I never figured out how much caffeine was in Starbucks shots. But when I literally tell you, for me working for Starbucks 2 years, first you start trying the normal stuff on the menu. You know, you start leaning in, you're like, because I didn't drink Starbucks before them. You start leaning in, you're like, okay, let's try this, right? Then you get into the experimental phase. You start ramping it up. At my last point before COVID hit and, you know, I had to stop working there, I could drink, what was it, 8 shots with 8 shots of blonde espresso straight, nothing added, just downed instantly.
Oh my god, you're gonna laugh. When I was doing my master's in Starbucks, so you'll know what this is, Butters. It is a quad espresso on ice with sugar-free hazelnut syrup.
I do mine with white mocha.
I did a quad espresso. Each espresso that has how many milligrams of caffeine? It's like what? Like what?
I was a bartender. I can only answer alcohol questions.
I actually don't drink, so I'm like, oh.
I don't drink either. Being a bartender ruined that for me.
I'm gonna Google this. Hang on, we gotta find out.
Yes, Google.
So, okay, changing my answer from water to any kind of fruit drink. Like, any kind of, like, real fruit tea or real fruit drink. Like, if it's... I just had a watermelon, like, slush today, and it was really good.
Nah.
I like fruit.
Mango.
I like fruit. Fruit's my thing.
We have our answer. So, an ounce... So, our regular shake is about an ounce of espresso with 64 milligrams of caffeine, and your girl was chugging... Oh, I don't know, 256 in under 5 minutes, which is normal for me. Just shot. Let's go. Shot.
That's literally me. Because I would go to work as soon as I finished prepping the machines, warming them up. We called it an undertow, right? It was the wake up drink. Literally just espresso, splash of milk, done. Glugged it, gone, ready to work. My mid shift comes. I'm going in for my classic drink, which was a blonde quad shot, 2 pump white mocha, 4 pumps white mocha, 2 pumps cinnamon dolce, whipped cream on top, cinnamon sprinkles on it, and extra hot. I will send you the recipe. It was a snickerdoodle cookie latte, and it was the best thing ever I created. Thank you. If you're watching this, Edith, thank you for showing me this drink. I love you. She was one of my teachers.
So what I'm hearing is this is my power. This is like powerlifting competition, like free shot right there. Like just shot that shit. Got carbs, sugar, fat.
Oh yeah, that's everything you need.
Oh yeah, so like I'm hearing like the 320 PR is like what I'm heading for. So like
pretty much.
Right?
Yep.
If I can get 320 pounds on that on a 1 rep max, that we know that shit's legit. That's all you need to know.
So
It's so weird to me because I don't drink coffee or espresso or any kind of caffeine. I don't even drink energy drinks. It's crazy to me because like to hear people talk. My brother drinks like 4 cups of coffee before noon,
you know what?
and I've never used it. He tried to get me to drink it, and
When
I was
is,
just like,
when is the
don't
next
like
G
it.
Fuel sale so I can send Luna some?
I know, I'm just like,
I like protein powder shakes. I like protein
oh
shakes. Those are
god.
good.
So I've had to do so many protein powder shakes in my day. I'm actually, so if you're lactose intolerant, you can't do whey. Did not know that until I was much older, obviously. So I do vegan protein, right? I literally, because of my schedule and PT, I subsist on protein shakes and like, this is not a joke. Like my protein intake, like I have my macros down to I try to follow them as best as possible because my coach, my powerlifting coach, his name Grote, he put me on a diet I worked my way from 1,600 calories a day all the way to 2,800. So to keep my mass on my body, because I have the type of training I do. Now, granted, if I'm not going to be active on a day, I drop it down significantly. But I'm like, I don't want to eat anymore, so I drink so many protein shakes. So I love protein shakes. And when I found out they actually had flavorless pre-workouts that I have been known to put in the pre-workout shake. Because I am smart like that, and I drink my caffeine. I'm like, why am I going to drink 2 things? I don't know if you've ever seen the old El Paso commercial. It was like the taco commercial. It's like,
Oh my gosh.
It's just like this big.
Okay, oh, girl, chemistry. The chemistry of it. I know it's terrible to say that. Don't do this, by the way, guys. I am a trained professional. I'm very much a trained professional. And I use it. Believe me. The day, so like, I did that on, what is it, Thursday? My arms are, I did mace work on Thursday, so my arms, that's why you see me touching my shoulders right now. I heard, I'm like, ow. So, you know.
She's literally telling us she's the Breaking Bad of workout drinks.
No lie, I seriously had to buy like the weed scale essentially, so I don't OD on caffeine. And I have my caffeine intake. So, you know, Amazon, not saying anything if you're in one of those states that's legal, they have them on Amazon. So,
I think that's any micro scale though at this point. Any single micro scale is used for this, guys. It's a public knowledge. I've grown up in a predominantly black area. I know this very well.
I use a micro scale to weigh my guinea pig.
oh,
I just put him on it.
But
Food scale.
that's adorable.
Hey, mine folds up and puts in a pocket. Can you imagine my chagrin when I have gone through airport security with it and it's covered in white powder?
Oh my god, you probably get stopped.
I do. But then they look at me and then they look at like my equipment. They see my hand wraps or like my knee wraps, my knee sleeves, my I bring my own weight collars wherever I go. So they look at that and they're like, okay.
It's workout stuff.
But literally people open it and they just look at me and I'm like, what do you want me to say?
She's like, I'm not a dumb drug dealer, I swear.
I actually had a friend who was going to a powerlifting competition in Virginia, and she was commuting from Virginia to, I don't even remember where. They stopped her in TSA because of the scale, and she had her white powder in a baggie.
Oh.
And she's Filipina. So they stopped her, they thought, and she has a little bit of an accent, so they were like, she's 5 feet tall, Filipina, she's with her mom. Her mom had just come into the Philippines, has her passport, they're traveling to a powerlifting from Virginia. She has a little scale, she has a little bit of white powder, and there's traces of powder in like that is still inside the suitcase from competitions previous and chalk. So they pull her aside and she was saying she was ready to tear up because they started asking her all these questions, and clearly the person didn't know what she was doing. But then one of the guys finally came over and saw her weightlifting journal, like a little book, and was like, dude, she's clear. And she was like pretty urgent tears.
She was freaking out, for sure.
So we get pulled, but I think by now, since it's such a common like thing now, people are like, oh, they're just waiting.
Yeah.
Especially since, you know, in the digital age, I'm pretty sure people aren't that dumb to transport drugs in such an open way.
Oh my god. This was back in 2016, 2017 when this happened.
Oh, yeah, they were kind of...
It was like so long ago now.
I know. We all wizened.
It was like just the other day. It's like, oh yeah, like haha, see you next year, 2017, and then now it's like, oh yeah, that was a while ago.
I'm like, we're in the middle of my brother's like, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and I was like, we're in the middle of a bandegueso right now.
My brothers and I were like, we're in the middle of a panorama.
So I'm so Mexican. We're like, we're in the middle of a pan dulce, a pan de queso, a pan de huevos. So we say things in like Spanish. So it's like, I think that's like a common thing right here because so in Texas where I'm at, it's like it's mostly a Hispanic community, and I myself am Hispanic, despite me looking super fucking pale. no, we get it. People are like, oh, are you Italian? I'm like, tiny hair. I was like, I have been like my bloodline has been colonized only slightly. But I'm like, I'm kidding. So we say things like,
They probably look at you when you speak Spanish like, what the hell? What is this white girl doing?
I know. Well, down here, I mean, most people like it's possible to be. The term is buena, which means like white skin or light skin. So it's very common. But the moment I go up north, I have a little bit of a twang, like a very slight twang. A very slight twang, but when other Hispanics see you, they look at you and they're like, they give you the and I get mistaken for being Cuban or like Italian. I'm like, I don't have a Cuban accent. I don't do that with my like.
Yeah.
So it's weird. And then if you we always go to Mexican restaurants, I think it's hilarious to go more to Mexican restaurants and order in Spanish, and they're like, no. And because my fiance is whiter than white.
Oh, okay.
He's from back in Kentucky. He's white boy.
He's white.
Yeah.
He's like white.
Oh, he's like negative reflection in the camera.
He like turn the camera on and it reflects back.
Yes. And I am pale, but I'm still a little bit darker than him, olive skin tone wise. So he has a beard, has a twang, wears flannel shirts, and steel toe boots and jeans.
He sounds like a Canadian.
My shoulder. He's Napoli.
Yeah.
So he, so they look at us and they're like, and I'm like, I got left in Kentucky. What do y'all want? So
I'm Italian and I look Italian, so.
Oh yeah, I'm like, you look Italian. My grandfather was Italian, so I mean, I got the jawline, but that's about it.
The jawline.
It is like everyone's like, oh, you're Hispanic. I'm like if I pull my hair back, can I do it? Hang on.
Oh yeah.
Yep, she has it. She has it.
If I have hoop earrings, I'm like, my eyebrows, I'm like, I'm looking at that.
You definitely look it. Everybody looks at me like, oh, she's Italian, but they forget that I'm also, like, my mom's not Italian.
Really?
My mom's Australian.
You would all see.
So my mom's like, I'm such a weird mix. Like, my dad's fully Italian, my mom's like Australian and Dutch, and then if you go back, it's Irish.
Ay.
I've never done this DNA test.
We can trace our family tree back down to the first convicts in Australia.
Oh, that's terrifying.
I can send you the link to one of them.
Oh, no, that'd be so cool. I'm curious. I want to see. I only have my mom's history back to 1776 from the Austro-Italian War. I did the DNA test recently, and I found out that because there was a very large group of, like, a very, very large degree of Persian, and I was like, the fuck? So apparently, I talked to my grandma about it. This was sometime last year, and she goes, "Oh, your great grandmother was Muslim," and I was like, "She wore like a hijab and everything," and I was like, "What?"
It's like so many things.
I know, and I'm like, nobody told me this. So when you look at the DNA tree, I'm literally 50% like Mexican, like mestizo, so like inner city Mexican and Central American. And the interesting fact is, most of my family, I guess, like my bloodline, is related to the Yucatan area. So whenever we would travel down there, like home, didn't know why.
Yeah.
From the Yucatan, and I was like, I got some Mayan, and I got some Aztec. That's so fucking short. Cool. I'm Aztec. Worry about it. So.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and then you do the stuff, and I'm like, I found a random like Persian for my dad's side, and then I was like, why do I have Scandinavian? And I'm like, Spaniard. It's like Spaniard, Scandinavian, Italian, Central and South American, Native American, and Persian. I'm like.
It really makes you ask the question is, how the hell was my family traveling?
Oh yeah, I had that question because like I'm 50% Italian. My dad is full-blooded Italian.
Oh, okay.
Like my parents are both immigrants. I'm a first-generation Canadian. So my dad came here when he was 7 years old, and my mom came here when she was 16.
Oh wow.
So my brothers and I are kind of first ones here. And so we can trace our bloodline pretty far back, but it's so hard because Italians are like rabbits. So my great grandfather was one of 24 children.
Oh my God.
My nonno was one of 18. One of my Zias has 16 kids. Another Zia has 8. Like I could never date an Italian because I'm related to him.
I'm like, I have
So bad.
My Italian side would be my grandfather, my mom's father. They actually changed their name when they got to the U.S. from an Italian to an Americanized version. So everyone assumes that like she like white. No, my grandmother was a 4'11" foot like Mexican lady. Like, she was like Mexican, and then he was like 6 foot something Italian dude.
Oh yeah.
There's also a 13-year age gap.
Speaking of like trying to like changing your name to kind of fit into the country that you're going into, I had an experience recently with my dad, which actually kind of upset me, and it relates to what you're saying because like changing your last name, right?
Yeah.
So my dad recently referred to himself as a guap, which means a Guido without papers, which was a racist term. There was like this whole thing going on like when Italians immigrated to the US and into Canada, where just the workforce in the US didn't want them. It was the Irish and the Italians, so there were a lot of racial attacks, and it wasn't until the past 50 years that Italians have been considered white people.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, so my dad was like, he was like, he said like, he was like, oh, I'm being a guap, and I was like, Dad, do you know what that means? He's like, no. So I explained it to him, and he's like, I used to get called that all the time when I was at work, and I didn't know because
oh my god, that's terrible.
Nobody told him, and I was like, oh my god, like I had to explain it to him, and he was like legit mad.
Oh, that. Well,
and, like,
I mean,
it was just crazy. Like, I didn't even learn this stuff until I had this conversation with my dad, and then I started to look into it. So I was like, bro, like, what the hell?
When you learn your family history, it really shows that a lot of tendencies, a lot of behaviors, it all stems from something. It always stems from something. From even just their experiences, you start seeing the same causality, the same things. Like, if your dad was in the same situation, the situation would have went the same way with you too, because that's how you react to it. And it's a very interesting topic and idea, because it's not just environment in you know, how you grew up that really affects you. It's also your parents, where they came from, what they went through, and you kind of get that.
Oh yeah.
We call that, there's actually a term for that, it's called social capital. We inherit what our parents have inherited, and social capital is not just the social standing, the hierarchy where we fall our place in society, as well as our cultural background. It is the habits and behaviors that we inherit from our parents and our ancestors. So if you think about it, you know, what you could have inherited is that social capital, but you are more wise with it, and you're like, hey, you know, that's a derogatory term.
Yeah.
No. And that was social capital that you yourself have inherited. And it sucks to say that, but it's part of the cultural history. I mean, it's part of your cultural history.
Yeah. Like my real name it's a very Italian. I'll tell you guys off stream, but like it's Italian, and my dad will not refer to me as my Italian name when we're out in public, because he's still, my dad's name is very Italian.
Oh my God.
He doesn't want that branding.
He uses the English version of my name. Like, just because he's worried, and because like in my grandparents' house, in my nonno's house, they have the picture of the boat that they came on. It was a 4-day trip across the ocean, and the date that they arrived. And my dad told me stories like, when my dad was younger, he wanted to be a police officer. Like he wanted. It's no surprise, my dad did bodyguards, but they wouldn't have him because they didn't want an Italian on the force. They thought he was too much trouble. They thought he was involved with the mob. And like, my dad still carries those ties with him, and I notice it. Like, I can tell. My dad's very comfortable with construction workers and more rough and tough looking guys and more Italians. Like, my dad moved us into an Italian neighborhood so he would feel better.
My God, my whole city is basically Mexican, so I really don't. I mean, well, there is that little bit of a separation where I live at. Like, if you go to the east side, you're going to find more people who are black. If you go to the west side, you're going to find more, we call them the middle class Mexicans. If you're more central, you're probably going to be white, younger, or a university student. The farther north you go, the more white people you see. It's more like wealthy areas. And the farther south you go, it's more Mexican, traditional Mexican from Mexico, especially in like the central downtown area. So like where I work at is a very wealthy area where I can actually disclose this. A lot of the NBA team in the area lives at. we have major athletes that live out there. It's a very wealthy area. And it's like, you have what are called the Mexican nationals, so they're very wealthy Mexicans who live over here. That's like their summer home or whatever. They live in that area. They're immigrants to the U.S., but they live in that area. But like the moment you go further south, you start getting like, it sounds really bad, but like darker skin, or you get like mestizos and everything. So my mom grew up there. My mom actually grew up in the project, so she always had this really big prejudice. She's like, I don't want you to ever go through that. The one thing she said, she always prayed that I was going to be like güerita, so I was going to be lighter skinned, because she didn't want me to have to go through that segregation. So granted, my parents actually moved out of that kind of area into the northern area of my city, because they didn't want to have to go through that. So I could be what they call, like back in the day, it was like white passing, which is why they moved it. So now it's so multicultural.
Oh yeah.
Anymore.
Thankfully, it's changed a lot over the recent years, where like lately, like more racism issues have been brought to the forefront.
Oh yeah.
And more issues, and like I remember there was a debate on Twitter or something, and someone was saying, oh, like all white people are were slave owners, and I was like, no, do you not remember the Irish immigrants that faced racism here in the U.S. or in Canada, or like the Italian immigrants, like, and there's like, oh, receipts, where your receipt, and I was like, okay, boom, I dropped the whole thing on them.
See, you say that, and one of my closest friends, her family owns a plantation where they had slavery. But the thing is, though, none of her family, as of this time, our age, don't even recognize any kind of race. They don't like it. They hate it, in fact. They own the land because it's the land of their family. They've had it for generations. They don't do much with it anymore, but they still get hate from people that can have ties to that land. And they don't share those values. And that is so horrible to see, because that was 100+ years ago.
What are your views on it, Butter? Because you're Black. What are your views on like on just everything that's, you know, being brought up now, and like what we're saying, and what do you feel and think?
I think I've had a little bit of a different experience, because even my family and my dad and my mom, my siblings still say I act kind of white, which is kind of different, because that's the way I was raised around. You know, my family did as much as they possibly can to make sure I didn't have to go through what my dad upstairs has been through. He grew up in a poor Black neighborhood where gangs were prevalent, where gang banging was really bad, and where he had to fend for himself. And his stories, his tales, what he tells me, really showed that he has made his life's effort to move us away from that, so we can be successful. We can be away from that. My brothers and siblings, they are so entrepreneurial, like what I'm doing. Actually even better than what I'm doing at such a young age. It took me a while to get it, but they are doing more, because I grew up in inner city Baltimore. You know, gunshots. We found a dead body in my alleyway of my grandmother's house one time.
That's crazy.
Police all the time. It was bad. But even through that, the people you meet, the people you know, they become your family. The neighbors. Oh yeah. When I had my birthday party with my cousin Shayla, it was my 9th or 10th. Her birthday's on the 23rd, my birthday's on the 29th, so we share birthdays. You know, she was 3 years apart from me. We grew up sister and brother practically. Whole neighborhood came by. Everyone brought us presents. We shared a massive 2-sided cake. Chocolate was mine, vanilla was hers. Had a bounce house, everything. And when you grow up like that, people may say that it's bad, but no. It's just different.
Those are bonds you build.
You could go to your neighbor's house, have dinner with their family because you know them. When we had parties, we knew them. When I went to school, I knew them. It wasn't estranged. People weren't for themselves. You knew your neighbors. You knew the people that worked at the grocery store down the street. And I wouldn't trade those memories, those times for the world, because it really was something to behold. I live in Georgia now, and I don't even know my neighbors' names.
I I mean, I don't know my neighbors a little bit. But
I don't even.
That's what worries me. That's like worries me about having kids in the future, right? Like, I don't know when the last time you guys ever looked outside and saw kids playing on the street. I remember when I was a kid, I was always out. I was always outside. Like, and now kids, like, they're just on their iPads and they're not outside. They don't know their neighbors. Like, it scares me. It's like, yo, like.
My parents actually made a concerted effort for a good chunk of like when we moved out into outside of the major part of my city. So I grew up inner city, but where I live is like super metro. So I lived out kind of like technically another city. It's called municipality, so it's not technically governed like regular city.
Yeah.
And I lived almost in the country, and now it's much more urban, but I lived almost in the country. And we made a concerted effort to meet our neighbors. So like our neighbors at one of my parents' houses, they're still there. So New Year's, we go out, we try to put fireworks. We had some issues with some of them. We go out, we talk, we mingle. We know the entire cul-de-sac out there, and they came to bring this. So I don't know if y'all heard about the snowstorm recently. I was stuck in it. My apartment was 38 degrees.
Oh my God.
We actually had to leave in the snow and brave the ice.
I'm so happy that nothing bad had came to you for that, because that was a situation that no one foresaw, and it was totally unprepared. You guys weathered tornadoes, hurricanes, everything, but when it comes to that, it was so ill prepared and so horrible. Oh my gosh.
It was bad. So I don't know if anybody out there wonders what happened. The state of Texas has its own power grid, and we have our own energy system, and we have our own water system. We're not connected. It's called ERCOT. Okay, we haven't been connected since the 1980s. It's been pretty good for the most part. I mean, it keeps us independent. Texas is its own country, essentially. However, here's what happened. They said, we're due for a major storm. Buckle up. We got all our supplies. We were ready, right? Well, we didn't anticipate this power failure because they said, their worst case scenario said, we're going to use 59,000 megawatts of power. Okay, megawatts is huge. Okay, 59,000 megawatts, right? Our demand was 67 to 69,000, which is why we kept having power outages. And here's what happened. They shut down coal plants, oil plants, even a nuclear plant that we have here in Texas, trying to preserve and say, you know, well, what they tried to do, this is why everybody on the board got fired or left or resigned. They shut down the systems, and they said, we'll turn them back on so we can sell power at a higher price. Guess what? It got so cold they didn't work. People lost their lives because somebody had corporate greed. We had hundreds of people. Literally, our death toll is huge.
Yeah.
Because people are like, well, don't they have snowplows? No, we don't. And we got a lot of flack from some northern areas. Canada has a bit of trouble. They're like, well, people should be prepared. I'm like, we were. We don't know how to be prepared. So we had no power. I was getting power on, so it went out at 2 a.m. on Monday. I just finished my stream. I was chilling. I went outside to play in the snow. Cool, right? Whatever. Now, 2 a.m. comes, it shuts out. We get it back intermittently. After Monday, it started coming on, and they said, we're going to give you 10 to 15 minutes of power apiece. We were getting 30, 40 seconds at best. And then after Monday night, Tuesday, it never came on at all. My phone was on. I have a secondary battery for my phone. I didn't have power. We had no cell phone service. There's no electrical stuff to power our cell phone towers. No emergency services. We couldn't reach any emergency services. So if you had a fire or a heart attack or something happened, you're screwed. Yeah. We had no means to contact my parents. My mom had a stroke last year, so we were worried about my mom. And it was just like wild because we were freezing and we were trying to tough it out. You know, we were like, we're going to hold on. When the power came on, we made corn dogs in the air fryer. And we were like, shit, we're making food. So we had like a little charcoal grill, by the way, so where I live at, not so charcoal grills. We were trying to use we had candles to keep our areas warm. I had LED lights. My light panels in my room, my stream room, were actually all charged up and battery powered. So I had tons of LED lights and candles, so I was ready to go. But when you can't make food or anything and the temperature just starts dropping and dropping and dropping, it reached about 42 to 38. It was fluctuating in that area. When I went to sleep, girl, I slept for 14 hours. I have a heart rate monitor right here. My pulse was so low, I actually went into a hibernated state, and my heart rate was super, like in the 40s.
Jesus.
So, yeah, my fiance couldn't wake me up. Like he was shaking me awake, and I couldn't wake up. I was
hypothermia.
Yeah, I was so tired, and I had no appetite, but I was just groggy, like I was almost drunk. And he's like, we need to go. So we packed up as much as we could in the dark. And we left my cat originally, but we came back for her. I was like, we can't leave her here. I gave her food and water because I thought we were only going to be on 24 hours. We came back, we got her, we went out and we realized how bad the situation really was for our area. So we knew, like, I had some friends who live nearby in an apartment. She has a 1-year-old and a 7-year-old.
Oh my God.
And the 1-year-old, they couldn't make any formula, they couldn't do anything. Like, how do you feed your child? So it was coming down to the wire, and they couldn't leave. And it was the snow here was, I mean, it wasn't the snow that was bad, it was the ice. So when it started to melt and it refroze that second time, you couldn't drive.
It's black ice.
Oh yeah, and it was black ice hidden under snow.
Yeah.
And our tires, our roadways are designed differently. So Beyonce works in civil engineering, knows a lot about the transportation. Our roadways and the concrete and the asphalt mixtures are different than they are up north. Everything is designed very differently. And that's what caused a lot of the pileups. And actually, a friend almost lost her apartment. The building that should have burned down. They could not get the fire trucks up there because it kept sliding down.
Oh my God.
And then when they got up there, there was no water. They get this, there was no pumps for our water. We couldn't get water anymore. So some areas didn't have any water, and the water was contaminated from backwash, essentially from runoff. So everything was contaminated, so they couldn't even put out the fire. They had to bring in the Air Force at water drop on top of this building.
That's the thing. Like, what really pissed me off about the situation is the people that were so unsympathetic. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Texas. Okay, I'm gonna compare it to Toronto, for example, because
Okay.
I'm in the north, right? Like,
Okay.
your houses and our houses are built different because we
Oh,
have
yeah.
different weather. Our houses
yeah.
are built to withstand the cold and the
yeah.
snow. Like, in the winter here, it'll drop to -30, -40, and we get 6-7 feet of snow in one snowstorm. Like, there was a snowstorm where like literally the leaves on trees froze and fell off.
Oh. Yeah, that
See.
happened.
Power lines were frozen, and like, but here in Canada, we know every year, we know, all right, we're gonna get a few really bad storms. We know the winter's gonna hit. We know for 7 months out of this year, we're gonna be in double negatives. You know, we gotta build these houses different. Like, our houses here, we had a tornado a few years back, maybe like 10 years back.
Uh-huh.
Completely fucked. Our houses aren't made for that kind of weather. It's not planned out. Whereas Texas, you guys aren't built for snow. Your roads aren't built for snow. You guys don't have the same kind of tires that we do.
Oh God, no.
Like-
We don't have
Here in
nothing.
Canada, it's I thought about it during the Texas storm. Like, here in Canada, when just before that first snowfall hits, and all right, October we're gonna get our first snowfall. We got to put on those winter tires, otherwise we're sliding out. And
Yeah.
even like it's just crazy because, like, oh well, it's just a little bit of snow, they should be fine. But you don't understand, like, our
Yeah.
houses in the north are built so much different. We have so much more insulation. We have so much more bedding underneath. Like, it's just crazy. Like, you
As
gotta think
someone-
about the structure.
As someone who has lived in the north and moved to the south, Luna is 110% right, because Georgia homes compared to Maryland homes, night and day on construction. Night and day. A Maryland home conserves heat in a completely different way, where my house is thinner. It gets rid of it because during the summer we get to 104, 105, and we will stay like that, and we'll stay in the high 80s even in the fall. Right
Yeah.
now it's like 70. Right now it's 70 degrees. It'd be like getting to 70 degrees outside.
I can tell you guys what it is here right now.
I have a friend
So
in Calgary. He walks outside in -25. I'm like, are you insane?
this week in Toronto, actually, I think it's tomorrow, it's supposed to drop to -10.
We are at 75 degrees right now. It is currently misty and rainy, which doesn't happen that often. So
I gotta find out what it is in Fahrenheit.
So tomorrow, it's, oh my God, what the hell? It says 48 degrees, and then it's gonna go to 7. Welcome to Texas, y'all.
Okay, so -10 degrees Celsius is 14 degrees Fahrenheit.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And that's pretty warm for this time of year, actually.
no, thank you.
But,
So
like, as I said, like, it's built different. Like people in the north couldn't handle the weather in the south, and vice versa. Like, you can't expect them to handle the same weather. It's not gonna happen. Our houses are built different. Our roads are different. Our cars are different.
everything is different. The whole lifestyle of how we do things is different too, and
How we
people
move goods
don't
and
understand
services,
that.
like-
They were just so ignorant to that fact. They're like, oh, it's just snow, oh, it's just ice. They don't have ice
not.
trucks. Their roads aren't
Yeah.
made for this. They don't sell winter tires like we do. They don't
You guys
have
don't have the salt trucks.
yeah, y'all don't have that stuff, and I hated that. I hated that.
like I know here in Toronto, like when when October starts to hit, stores are putting out their salt. It's like a 10-15 pound bag of salt, and you take a handful and you throw it on your driveway to give you traction on the ice.
You just toss it. Yep.
You're not going to stop that ice. And
Yep.
like we have the big industrial trucks that will rotate, and they'll come around and they'll just disperse salt all over the roads and the sidewalks. And you guys don't have that in Texas because you don't have snow.
We don't, I mean, we do, just not like this. Like,
Yeah, not mass scale.
Not where it's actually stuck on the ground and lay the ground. Like, the most we get is like a couple flurries and it melts into the ground. We're like, oh, it's snow, blah, 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 we can go play it. You can't really build stuff with it. This time it's stuck, and my brother actually sent up the drone. We have it, and took some video while it was snowing, and actually you could see how huge of a deal it actually was. And that was when things started to get better and started to get more consistent power, because I stayed with my family, and they had like a fireplace and everything, so we got to stay warm. But there were people who definitely were not as lucky, and it was literally, people were waiting 45 minutes to get into our local grocery store. H-E-B is like the major grocery chain down here, right? To get food and milk, and we had a limit on one thing of milk, 2 things of eggs. Like, there was a limit on everything. And then they had a limit on water. You couldn't find water anywhere because we had a boil order for like a week.
Yeah.
It was just a catastrophic failure of our infrastructure.
Yeah.
And I luckily came out of it okay. It was just that the scare of like hypothermia.
Oh yeah, exactly. And like I think when you're in the cold for so long, your body kind of adapts to it a little. Like being from the north, like me, I'm like, oh, -5, that's not too bad. But for somebody like you, you'd be like, I'm gonna die.
I seriously will, because so down here the average in this is like 80, 90. I've actually mentioned this on stream before. I don't sweat unless it's above like 95.
I don't sweat. Oh my god. Sorry. I've never met somebody who didn't sweat. Oh my god.
I'm jealous.
I have to get, like, even when I work out, I get a little misty, but not bad. Like, I don't sweat unless it's like 100% humidity and I'm literally in 90+ degree heat. The only time that I really sweat, I was in Key West, Florida for vacation. I was working out in an open air gym, and it was 100% humidity, and it was 98 degrees out, and the warehouse just had fans. And that's one time I really sweat. And then during quarantine, it was 100% humidity because of the rain, and it was like 90 degrees out. So I sweat then, but if you put me in a regular room, I don't sweat. And I can handle hot temperatures. Like, you put me in the sauna with, like, I used to get cold all the time, so I used to go in the sauna where I used to work at, and it was like, they put it at 160 degrees, and I'm in there with my leggings, my shirt, my hoodie. No sweat for 20 minutes. I have a weird thing. We figured out it takes me twice as long to sweat as a normal person.
I've never met somebody who didn't. I've been called weird my whole life because I didn't sweat. I've never met somebody who doesn't.
I'm jealous.
I don't sweat.
I don't.
But the freeze was a different story. I mean, I was like, honestly, I was like, I'm flawed. It was bad. Yeah. So the good news is everything's gotten back to somewhat normal now. They finally lifted food restrictions. Our supply chain is back to normal a little bit. My electric bill was not overcharged. Somebody had a $16,000 electric bill. You can actually look this up because they upcharged them and they charged them wholesale electric prices.
That's evil. That's evil.
It's greed. It's corporate greed. 100%.
Exactly. So my electric bill luckily was like half. I was like, I'll take it. But the repercussions on like the piping here, some of the buildings nearby didn't fare so good. And I mean, luckily our place was fine. It's just the infrastructure recovering the food thing, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's probably the most like hot topic that I can at least introduce you guys, like what happened here, at least from an actual media Texas.
Yeah.
So things are good now. I promise, guys. We're safe. I promise. Things have gone better.
Everything's better.
Everything's better.
Okay.
Did the snowball melt by now?
Oh, hell yeah. It melted. So the storm hit Sunday. I actually was convinced to go into work, and then I called my client and was like, there's no way in hell I'm driving. You need to go home.
Yeah.
I was going in on a Sunday for 2 clients, and I said, nah. I actually almost slid off the road, and I was like, nope, I'm going home. And they closed the highways. So it started on Sunday. The freeze happened. Monday was when the snow happened. It melted, and then it refroze on Tuesday, which is the real bad part, and it snowed even more. The snow melted by Saturday. So it was like a full week.
Yeah.
And it was an experience for us. I mean, we took some cool photos outside. We put in the snow. I busted my butt in the snow. We did a snowball fight. I tried to take my cat outside in the snow. She absolutely hated me.
I've slid out before, like on the road. Like we were on the highway and they didn't get to Salted yet, and we slid out on the highway and spun. But here in Canada, you know, people expect that, so all the cars stop, and you get out of the car and you're looking around like, okay, did anybody else like slide out? Is everybody else okay? Like.
I was like on the off ramp. I was coming on an off ramp and some guy was speeding around me, and I was like, I am not going to speed up. And he almost hit the guy in front of me because he didn't realize the turnaround was blocked with barrels. So I had to kind of hit my brakes real fast because he cut me off, and I was like, you dick. But if we would have had an accident, I'd been like, karma's bitch, your insurance premium, whatever. So
that's the worst thing to do on ice is to hit your brakes and stop, because then you're going to slide.
I had to tap my brakes, and so luckily I got smart, because I mean, when I was on the off ramp, there's like a little bit of a shoulder, so I hit the on the shoulder, that rough patch, to kind of get some traction. I was like, really? And you're not supposed to hit. I'm like, physics says you're gonna make my brakes, it's gonna happen, but I hit the rough patch to slow me down. But that's the kind of shit we had here. And basically the PD and everything was like, everybody's like, you have an accident, we can't help you. So it was like the apocalypse. When I thought about the apocalypse, I'm like, I have been in so many apocalyptic situations now, guys. Like I'm ready. I'm training for it.
You're ready for it. You're like, all right, bring it. What's next? Sharknado? I can bench a shark. Let's go.
Okay. Okay. And with that story, I think this podcast is a wrap. This is a good time. Okay, everyone pose for the thumbnail screenshot.
I gotta do that. There we go. I'll get the lights on. Got
it. We're good. Okay. So there we go, guys. We're about to end the podcast here. This is Buff Barbarian Babe and Lunavite. Their socials are in the description. Please give them a follow and give them some love. They are fantastic.